We used to go to concerts to hear the artists we loved, and now we go to concerts to hear teenagers scream the wrong lyrics whilst playing Subway Surfers and swiping on Tinder on full brightness. Concerts aren't just cooked anymore, they're completely fried, and for some reason attract the loudest minority of absolute clout-obsessed, chronically online weirdos who treat live shows like some form of content farm. As social media aura and hype culture bleeds into every corner of entertainment, the actual music becomes the least important part of what was originally supposed to be a way to showcase live music and talent. Almost weekly, a new clip goes viral of a crowd that doesn't even seem to be aware of the artist that they paid to see, which raises the question, why the fuck did they even pay to go in the first place? This topic of conversation came to my attention after watching the discussion surrounding SD Kid's recent tour. At almost every show, fans were shouting the lyrics to a song that was completely different to the one he was actually performing. These clips went viral online, and real fans of the artist were understandably pissed, as tickets for a sold-out tour were going to people who clearly didn't even know the music. If you're unfamiliar, SD Kid is a UK Scouse rapper that has blown up insanely quick, pulling millions of monthly listeners in just a few months. He's essentially carrying this new UK underground wave on his back, all whilst fake mink aura farms with his Poundland grills that he has in his mouth. SD's entire catalogue is popular right now, but the song that kicked off the entire wave was Louis V Sandals, which ironically seems to be the only song that most of these concert goers actually know. This is because they'll scream the lyrics no matter what beat is actually playing over the speakers. SD Kid isn't the main focus here, but he is the perfect example of something bigger. Concerts becoming status symbols. People are literally going to concerts for online clout. Right now, SD Kid is the cool artist. If you post Phantom on your story, at least one person will think you're cool. If you go to one of his concerts and post it, that number might jump up to 3. You might even get a story like from your crush that you will overanalyze for about 12 hours. And that is why these shows look the way they do. Half the people there don't actually seem to be fans. They're participants in hype culture, chasing the aura of being seen at the right concert at the right time. And don't get me wrong, you can go to concerts without even knowing the artist playing. That's how you discover new music. But I think the fact that an entire crowd jumps to the most popular song as soon as they hear an 808 blast over the speakers displays a larger, more overarching problem with modern day music and concert culture. Songs go viral on TikTok consistently. Occasionally this can result in an artist becoming flavor of the month or flavor of the year or flavor of the decade. And these musicians almost always already have a dedicated fan base. Everybody has to come from somewhere regardless of how fast they blow up or industry plant status. When this occurs, the demand for merch and especially concert tickets go through the fucking roof, with the artist being unable to scale the venue size quickly enough, which means the dedicated fans are often drowned out by this new TikTok audience. This isn't inherently bad, but the SD Kid situation does showcase that at times these fans can be borderline disrespectful, and it only gets worse as we explore more examples. Whenever this topic re-emerges into the zeitgeist, I always think back to when I saw Young Lean right after Bliss and Ginseng Strip blew up on TikTok. The crowd was mostly amazing, but there was one group of American girls who were outwardly spouting how they only knew one song being Bliss from TikTok. Again, that is fine, but what wasn't fine was them filming and insulting other people, bitching at other crowd members, and complaining when anyone even slightly nudged or bumped into them. They were actively ruining the experience for me, my friends, and countless other fans who had been into Young Lean for almost a decade. We actually had to move away from them. And this is all because they had no understanding of Young Lean, his music, the community he has built, and the culture around his art that has been going on for well over a decade. This was likely due to the fact that these girls were dumbass fucking Americans dropped into a venue full of based Brits. But I'm sure most of you can agree that the most entitled concert goers are usually the trend hoppers. This isn't just an SD Kid or Young Lean issue. It isn't even a problem with just underground hip hop, where aura farming and is rife. It's happening within every genre or subculture, whether it be underground or mainstream, gatekept or chart friendly. Concerts are full of people that are utilizing a gig as a form of status symbol to appear a certain way to the fellow attendees or the internet. Electronic music has the same problem, especially in boiler room style sets. These performances are filmed with the crowd positioned behind the DJ up close and personal. Most of the time it's fine, just skankers rolling their eyes back and swinging their jaws to the beat. But in the case of more hyped electronic electronic artists like Fred again, you see people storming to the front and bringing fucking ring lights to the rave just to capture themselves on social media. And I will repeat that, crusty ass Instagram models are bringing fucking ring lights to a rave just in an attempt to appear in a certain way without sacrificing any thirst trap points. It's once again just playing into status culture. The very act of bringing a fucking ring light to a rave solidifies that you're not really there for the right reason. You're not there for the music or even the enjoyment of the event. You're going so you can capture yourself at a hyped rave to therefore post on social media, farm engagement, and maybe, just maybe, get a few more purchases on your Footpick paid subscription service online. This has become an inherent problem with rave culture, especially in America. Tomorrowland and Burning Man have essentially become insecure influencer playgrounds where rich troglodytes will throw money into the ether under the guise of enjoyment. It does mainly happen in America, to be fair. In the UK, every rave is full of crusty-lipped bogans huffing on balloons that are mush in their brain to the point where it sounds like they're speaking an alien language. I think the last thing they'd want is to be shared on social media. So I think maybe it's more of an American thing in this case, but it does happen everywhere. I've seen it. Oh yeah, quickly, if you do enjoy these rants and these videos, I am not sure what was wrong with you firstly, but secondly, I've upgraded the Patreon. I post 2 to 4 extra videos a month. 3 of them are just random topics, things that are too spicy for YouTube. The 4th of the month is going through everything I've listened to that month and basically reviewing it, everything of note. I will respond to all the comments on there outside of this absolutely disgusting comment section that's going to be under this video. I'm also debating starting a monthly kind of art club where we all discuss, so let me know if you want to do that. The next video on the Patreon is about a man who turned himself purple by drinking silver. So if you want to support me, it is quite difficult making a living off this platform talking about the things that I do. The Patreon is in the description. It's less than the price of a pint of beer, and I don't think I cause as much self-loathing, let's be honest. No more shilling, let's continue. You'd think that secular and gate-kept subcultures like hardcore would be immune from this epidemic, but actually might be even worse due to the heavy crowd participation combining with hardcore's popularity on these social medias. Hardcore is no longer really a trend. The TikTok popularity has been consistent for multiple years, so I think it's just the case that the new generation will consist of hardcore purists and people that just dip in and out of the subculture due to social media, and they're obviously going to differ in terms of their understanding of the scene. The recent Sound and Fury Fest was a huge talking point in regards to this particular issue, as newcomers to the scene seemed to misunderstand or outright ignore even the most basic of concert etiquette. If you don't already know, hardcore shows allow stage diving and brief crowd participation. It's a core part of the culture. The band is no more important than the crowd. Everyone contributes but also respects the boundaries of the artist performing on stage. It appears this message hasn't reached the chronically online generation, creating one of the most heinous environments for aura farmers. There were a few really funny situations where kids will invade the stage and immediately get thrown off by Brian Garris from Knocked Loose, although it did begin to stray into dangerous territories. For example, during Basement's set, they started playing that dumbass TikTok song that I do actually quite like, and as soon as the first note rung out, an army of septum-ringed teenagers invaded the stage and surrounded the lead singer of the band, Andrew Fisher. This got so bad that Fisher actually had a panic attack and was unable to finish the song without urging the huge crowd to get back down off the stage and just give him a little bit of space. I don't think aura farming and hype culture are the only causes of the Sound and Fury issues. In Basement's case, a fan base that isn't used to hardcore norms was dropped into a hardcore environment. In most mainstream scenes, artists on stage are treated as untouchable idols. So when the fans got the chance to be face to face with their favorite band, they didn't consider the well-being of the real human being that was standing in front of them. But main character syndrome and aura farming is also a huge problem. Hardcore has always promoted the idea that one single person is not more important than another. Obviously that doesn't work because hardcore kids can be pretentious cunts and always have, but typically the subculture flows just fine. The idea of equality within a scene contrasting with a chronically online generation doesn't really meld well. Not only are the younger generation addicted to dopamine, as am I, they are addicted to attention, as am I. The two feed into each other like some sort of cursed feedback loop. A like is a small dopamine hit, a compliment even more so, and the more unhinged you act online, the more of that sweet validation you get. This then floods into real life. It's why you get dusty ass girls getting on stage, invading the stage, and shaking their dusty ass batty rather than just singing a line of the song and getting to stage diving. For some reason, they feel as if their arse is more important than the actual band on stage and needs to be seen by everybody. And these clips always go viral. They are probably the most replayed section of every set where this happens, for obvious reasons. And it just encourages more people to try it. And it's not just women, by the way, men are as heinous. They do their own version by stomping around like discount zoo exhibits and actually usually being way more dangerous than just like, I guess, IRL thirst trapping. But I guess I have not seen a dude windmill his cock on stage yet, so there's that. But it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise. They have the ability to do it. This isn't a gender thing. So why is this all happening, and why is it getting more unhinged year after year? Well, the answer is obvious. Social media. Actually, not even just social media. The entire internet. We are currently existing in a post-internet society where art, culture, behavior, attention spans, and motivation are so fused with online life that you literally can't tell where human instinct ends and algorithmic conditioning begins. There are literal adults in the modern day walking around that have never experienced a year on this planet without the internet actively shaping their brain chemistry. Their entire worldview has been molded by a reward system that pushes selfish, performative behavior to earn status online. And when you combine that with a music culture that's been completely warped by short-form platforms, you end up with the exact chaos we're seeing at concerts today. Most of our music is now algorithmic. Realistically, every song we enjoy is being picked for us by a fucking bot. The same clankers that prioritize the most sensationalized, fast-paced content possible. We used to dig through record crates in hopes of finding something special, and when we finally did, we'd dig deep into that particular artist's lore. And don't get me wrong, that still does happen, and it's literally why people like me have the microscopic amount of clout that we do. But it's no longer the main way people consume music. Songs are discovered through short snippets, packaged with fast-paced brain rot memes or just literal softcore. It doesn't encourage anybody to explore the artist's story or discography because that actually requires effort. They just save the song and keep scrolling in hopes to see more AI tits. Attention spans have gotten so cooked that labels specifically encourage artists to make shorter songs or just pump up sped out versions of already existing songs. And honestly, if you choose the sped up version of a song compared to the original, I do not consider you the same species as me. A huge chunk of audiences today only care about the 7 to 12 second snippet. They don't explore the message, they don't usually listen to the full track, and the idea of listening to a full album might as well just be 2 hours without the geek bark. This results in concerts with rooms full of people that are just blankly staring and waiting for the specific section, and in some cases actively talking or being nuisances when they aren't being actively engaged. This isn't just me being hyperbolic, I've seen it countless times. Kids with Gucci backpacks invading the stage, dudes trying to flirt or grope in the middle of the pit, people having full brain rot conversations during really emotional songs. At this point, it is almost expected when I go to a show. The reward system of social media has created a generation of people who genuinely think they're the most important person in the room. More important than the artist, more important than the rest of the crowd, and definitely way more important than any poor staff member that's tasked to actually work the venue. It naturally leads to insanely selfish behavior, and ironically, this is combined with the inherent urge to be a sheep. People want to be special, but they also don't want to stand out too much. If one person starts screaming the wrong lyrics, the whole room will join in like a cult. It's delusion mixed with conformity. One of the most prominent issues I see discussed is phones. At most concerts now, there are more people filming the show than actually watching it. I've been to concerts with shorter people that have had to watch it through the screen of somebody else's phone. That's not a joke. I've personally never had an urge to film at a show, and maybe that's a downfall of me because I don't have any of these memories saved on a digital format. I've always preferred living in the moment. That being said, there isn't actually anything inherently wrong with filming a show. It all comes down to why you're doing it. If a kid loves photography and wants to capture their favorite artist, that's sick, and I encourage that. If a fucking 30-year-old pretending to be 21 watching a 16-year-old rapper is capturing moments of the event to post to an Instagram story the next day and bragging about it, they need to get a fucking life. The Instagram story is basically a tool to convince people that you're a sick. If a story is packed with concerts, parties, insane moments, everyone assumes you're the coolest person alive. Well, in theory. And in reality, you're just at home gooning to the Osama Sun leaks and huffing down on a sprayed skunk. I do the opposite with my Instagram story. You should follow it, by the way, because it does appear like I have a fucking awful life. And maybe the art of my story is not too far from reality. Let's get to the bread and butter of this entire discussion. The importance of the music taking a backseat to social status. Every example in this video provides at least a slice of the crowd that is only there to flex their attendance online or appear in a certain way. And it's obviously awful because it steals tickets from people who actually care, which, to be fair, we can also blame the artists and labels for that, because artificial scarcity is a fucking thing with these new artists. 100%. Why do you think Fake Mink performed in a fucking boxing ring? So what if I told you it has pretty much always been this way, and social media has just sent the negative aspects into overdrive? As far back as the 1700s, operas and classical concerts were attended purely for social credit by the most elite people in society. In the 60s, a whole wave of rich hippies uprooted their privileged lives to become part of the cool thing. Clout chasing has always existed. The only difference is that the definition of clout has mutated, and so has its power. Old subcultures were trying to impress a small local community. Now people are trying to impress the entire internet. A group of people entirely controlled by algorithms trying to impress an algorithm to therefore get more internet points that are also inherently controlled by algorithms. I think the only way forward is obvious. We create a secular community for people who film concerts with Nintendo DS's, swipe on Tinder, and stick their vinyl sleeves on the wall. It's not a concentration camp. It's not a concentration camp. Think of it as like an enrichment camp. They'll be nice, safe, happy even. We'll give them water, food, enriching activities. I just want them away from the rest of us. Safe, fed, hydrated, free to blue tack their vinyl sleeves on their wall.